Hey everyone, welcome to the Permission Portal with Paulmarq and Laz. I'm Paulmarq.
And I'm Laz. Let's open the portal.
I'm so excited to talk about kink today. I'm very kink adjacent. I'm not kinky proper, but I'm definitely in the suburbs somewhere. So what are some of the kinkiest things you've done?
Shit. Getting tied up in front of a room full of condor coaches by our special guests. And when it comes to outside of that Shibari kink experience, tying my wife up. Going to a couples retreat with another guest that we are going to have in the future
Hmm.
and having that tantra experience with my wife, a 2 day long retreat, being introduced to different toys and things like that, exploring which ones we liked and which ones we played with, some we completely stayed away from. But I would say that's probably the kinkiest experience I ever had was at that retreat with my wife. I mean, we brought some of those things home, right?
Mhm.
But definitely that experience at that retreat.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had quite a few kinky experiences. Some because I decided I wanted to try them, and some because the person I was with all of a sudden pulled an audible, and I was like, well, I guess I'm here. So it's one of my best experiences, and I still think about this in my alone me times, is I had a lover named Ralph, and we had set up this wonderful routine. He actually paved swimming pools. So he would go off and do that whenever this was back when I was working and always on call, always running around.
Okay.
He would call me up and I'd go pick him up from his job site. Then we'd come home, he'd shower, we'd have nap time, which was always sexy time, but then a nap. And then we'd wake up, more sexy time, then dinner, then after dinner, sexy time, then
Mm-hmm.
then nap time. And during one of those sexy times, I had always had some furry handcuffs that were basically decor on my headboard. And it was all metal, and it was just one of those things. I had purple on one side, I had pink on the other, and
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of blended in with the whole aesthetic of the room at the time.
Okay.
And we were making out. He climbed on top of me and he put my hands above my head, which was kind of normal. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. This is good. And next thing you know, I'm feeling like clink, clink. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just kind of felt into it. And I was like, and he said, is this okay? And I was like, sure, whatever you want, go ahead. And he rode me until he came. And then I was like, okay, that was really fun. That was cool and everything. And he kissed me. And then he uncuffed me and then rolled over and cuffed himself and just looked me dead in the eye and said, you do whatever you need to do to finish. And I
I'm like, all right,
don't threaten me with this with a
with
that
a
with
good time for real.
yeah, I know, right? I was like, okay, let's do this. And I will say that, although the only thing about him was that he did not fit my height requirement, but everything else was absolutely golden. So, our guest today is known to the kink community for their dope rope hangouts. They were Mr. Maryland Leather 2020 through 21, head of household for Tribe of Mount St. Oya, uses Sabari, psychedelics, hypnosis, neo-shamanism in their practices, and has been featured on several podcasts and panels. Welcome, Mxter Xero.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Welcome, sir.
So, before we go any further, I want to ask you what your preferred pronouns are and how you wish to be addressed, because I've been calling you Zer since we met years ago, and I just want to make sure because I see that you have upgraded your name.
Yeah, so my preferred pronouns are they, he, and but also anything with respect, as long as it's said with reverence or respect, I'll receive. Yes, Zer is still my moniker. Yes, I have updated it because I do exist as a master in the world, a recognized master in the leather world, specifically master coach in psychedelics, master hypnotist in the hypnosis world, master Reiki. So there's a lot of mastery in my body. And Mxter is the non-binary version of master. So we
Oh,
did escalate just a tad.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's also a nice play on it. Mixy Mixter. I'm a very mixy type of
Yeah,
character.
yeah, facts.
So
Yeah.
I'm masterful in my mixing.
A mix master. So for our audience, like we've mentioned Shibari. For those who don't know, what is Shibari and how did you discover it?
Okay, so let me make the distinction a little bit. There's all kinds of rope art, right? I would consider myself a rope artist. And I say that because technically Shibari in itself is a Japanese art form. And it is a Japanese art form that is derived from what they call Hojo Jutsu, which was quick takedown of prisoners. They would use Shibari to quickly take down prisoners. Of course, you take those skills, they wander to the bedroom, they evolve into an erotic practice, which then you get Kimbaku, which is its own art form that's based in pleasure. And then there's all kinds of other facets of rope that fall under. Then you have Awana rope. Awana is rope that is done for suffering or cathartic release. It's more stressful on the body intentionally
Mhm.
than Baku or Shibari. So there's striation, but I would generally say I'm a rope artist because I have touches of all of those. I'm able to touch on all of those different ones. However, I couldn't necessarily and call myself a Shibari artist as I haven't been taught by a Japanese Shibari master.
Wow.
So today we're talking about kink. What is your definition of
Ink. Oh, that's a great question. So allow me to share like a little visual, right?
kink?
So when you think the WASP lifestyle, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant life, right? You got your white house, you got your two-car garage, your white picket fence, little dog running around, your kids, one girl, one boy, maybe another girl. Hey, green lawn. And so you have this beautiful picture, but along with that picture comes missionary, procreation driven,
Mm-hmm.
solely sex. Just dry, right? It's
Yeah.
it's it's just as it's just as clean cut as the life that it particularly is crafted around.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to say, as an example, let's say you are in that missionary and your partner's feet are on your chest. At the moment that a toe slips into your mouth because it's near your face, you have now put a ripple or a kink in that picture. It is no longer this sterile, puritanical execution. It is now something that is leaning towards the wilds of and the creativity of pleasure. A toe in the mouth, you know, a thumb in the right place, a lick, that all of when you start to shift outside of a procreation driven wasp puritanical type of sex, you are driving into kink.
So, what's your introduction to King?
Mm, I like both questions actually.
Hey, come
So
on.
most people's introduction to kink are the spaces in which they are told no or traumatized as a child. And that sounds deep and heavy, but it also doesn't have to be. So I'll give you some examples. Have you been the kid that likes to hide in the big cardboard boxes?
Yeah, we had cardboard boxes as a kid. We moved so many times. I'm sure we
Right.
did and played.
And so you go into those boxes and you created a whole world inside those boxes, but you also closed out the rest of the world inside the boxes. Fast forward about 20 years, and you realize that you like deprivation. You like the isolation. You like being locked in a box or in a closet,
Mm,
right? Or maybe you were a kid and you took Elmer's white glue and you
mhm.
spread it across your hand and let it dry. And
Feels
then you peeled off playing in the mess, playing in mess, like splashing. Or if you made mud pies as a kid, fast forward 20 years, you get splashing. You like to play in goo and mess and foams and things, right?
yeah.
Maybe you were the kid that liked to press your hand into the cake, right? Like you just go ahead and smash the cake with your hand, splashing. Maybe you were told to wear a dress shirt and your dress shirt came in one of those folded packages and you had to unfold it and you had to take out all the pins
Hmm.
from the collar and so on and so forth. And then maybe you got a little creative and you're like, I wonder if I can like lace that needle through the top layer, the dermis, the top layer of my finger. Just try to,
Side right here.
can I get under my skin without hurting myself and just have that when then you fast forward 20 years and you have needle play, right?
Okay.
So like there's all of these points of reference that you can kind of bounce back and forth. I'll give you, so how did I start in kink? I started it in kink, one, through a space of oppression, right? My parents were strict conservative Christian, devout Christian. They are. I'm not saying what word, they are. My dad still works for the same church 30 years in. I'm not a PK, but I might as well have been.
Weren't you gonna be at one point? You thought you were gonna be a preacher?
I did. Yeah, it's about 16 years old. Actually, I started preaching when I was 12
You
and
were a
between
preacher.
12 and
Okay.
16. And at the same time, I was also a part of the real sex HBO generation.
Yeah.
So what that meant was I had cartoons on one channel and I would have real sex on the other channel and I would have the recall button on lock. I was like very much curious, but it wasn't something that was openly
Yeah.
discussed in my house. So I had to learn it on my own and through whatever sources I could find. And so more specifically, my parents were so strict that I couldn't have a whole lot of guests over. And if I did have guests, we didn't have any privacy. I couldn't go over nobody else's house. So guess what? I lost both my virginities, both man and a woman, in a very public space. Very, in school with a girl that was in the middle of the stage in the pitch black auditorium, and with a guy, I think it was in a boiler room somewhere or like some utility closet. But the point is, now I have an exhibition kink. I like being seen. I like being outside. I like the threat of being seen.
Okay.
And so like all of the like kinks typically come that you got fire. Everybody is told not to touch the fire. Don't You should be scared of the fire. You
Oh,
should
I
be
love
scared of
fire.
fire. But then you fast forward 20 years and you're like, you've been cooking for some time. Your hands are particularly more durable for the heat. You can move a aluminum pan without scalding yourself. Maybe you're on the grill and the grill flares up, and you pish posh, it's fire. So now you have fire play where you get closer to addressing the fear, closer to addressing the trauma, closer to addressing the no, and moving past it.
I like the candle play. I
The
love to play the hot
candles, yeah.
glass.
And
And
we probably even did that as kids too, pouring the candle on your skin to see if it'll burn or like if it's too
oh, if there
hot.
was anything that could melt or burn, I was there. I think the first time I got in trouble was melting things in front of a space heater.
Oh
Um,
shit!
yeah, back when I was like 4. And it was one of those things that we lived in a house where there were radiators. And just on accident, I realized that if I left things on top of the radiator, they would
Fire.
cook or melt.
Yeah.
And
It's
so and I was like, okay, so what else can we cook or melt? And I still go through that whenever I don't grill a lot. Every time you get a good fire going on a grill, it's like, okay, I know I meant to just cook this, but the fire is still good. What else can I throw on this thing? And I've been interested in burning up a lot of things.
so essentially what we're describing is an adult playground, right? We're describing this big, space of exploration of the fringes of our edges and of our
Mm-hmm.
pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Our experience that Laz mentioned already was an experience of him challenging a fear that was taught and installed
Mm-hmm. As a kid.
as a kid.
Yep.
And at a certain point, he got to a space, he's like, I don't like this for me. I don't think that this is where I stop. I don't think that this is not an edge that I want to keep rubbing up on. And saw an opportunity, approached said opportunity, and next thing you know, being tied by something that, or someone
Mm-hmm.
that he had at some point feared.
Yep. Straight fear. And that fear showed up as when I was younger, it was like hate. Like I hated what I didn't understand. That's what I was taught.
So it's cyclical. When do you get sick and tired of being sick and tired? When do you get tired of being scared? And how do you move forward with that? Kink is deeply an imaginative space. If you're in the right hands, strategizing how you can move beyond the fear, how you can move beyond the limitation, how you can get closer to pleasure, to love, to bliss, to freedom and liberation. That is why I'm in the game.
Hmm.
Wow.
That's really interesting
Mm.
because hearing both of you talk about coming from a space of overcoming fear, I was not brought up with any kind of fear. It was like, this is this, do it if you want. And there was so much openness that I was able to. The only thing that I was told was, don't bring home a baby. And I was like, I'm doing it with guys. There's no chance I'm bringing home a baby. But I mean, I had friends over. I had lock-ins at my house. I had co-ed slumber parties. There was so much that was available to me growing up. And so when I say I'm kink adjacent, I'm well aware that these things exist. And I've looked at it and been like, well, no, I don't. And I think the same thing has happened as far as alcohol. Like alcoholism runs in my family because I saw it and because it was always available to me at a young age. I don't need it now.
Oh, well, see, you validating the point.
Yeah.
This is personal revolution. So,
Mhm.
like, if you were a person that was not necessarily supported in your expansion or in your exploration when you were younger, if you were told no, if you were restricted, if you were conserved, you don't have a reason to necessarily run point on your liberation because you already had it. But when
Mhm.
you grow up and you recognize how many people, when you interact with people like yourself, who don't have to care, who don't have to negotiate with the voices in their head in that way, because they weren't held back or weren't restricted, then you're like, well, shit, how do I get more
Unrestricted.
carefree? How do I get more liberated? How do I get? And so that then at that point, you have to create that imaginative playground
Yes. Yes.
and navigate towards your freedom.
Well, see, and I love the idea of the playground. I want to play. I want to
Mhm.
try everything. I'm so for me, I a lot of my godmother was very much like a real life Auntie Mame. When she says, life is a smorgasbord, and it's like, okay, there's all this stuff. And I like to do a couple of laps. Like even when I haven't been to a buffet in years since the pandemic. I don't know, there's some sort of thing. But
Mhm.
when I used to go, it would be like, okay, let's just go. And I do the same thing whenever I'm shopping too. Like say if I go to a fair or something like that. I go
Yeah.
through and I just do a walkthrough where I don't pick up anything. Just walking through and just looking at what is available. And then the second time, okay, what really caught my eye? And then I go back towards there. And that, it's like creating a shopping list and then going back and doing that and
Yes.
actually doing the shopping. And I've noticed that there are some things where I've been like, oh, okay. And I listen too, because I have lots of clients who come to me and tell me about, for some reason, they feel really, really comfortable telling me all this stuff. And I
Mhm.
realize that a lot of them are working through some traumas or some things that they were told not to do. And I was like, I don't have to work through those same traumas. Now, if you wanted to pay me to work through those things with you because I'm your chosen person, we can talk about that. But as far as just doing the heavy lifting and doing emotional labor for free, that's just not my bag. We talked about your Mr. Maryland Leather title. How did you get into that?
Oh, good question. Great question. So you get out of the pot and you get into the kettle. I was trying to liberate myself. And so I had found a mentor in Kink in the liberatory space. And I pretty much told him my first day of officially being under his mentorship was me getting to watch him run a competition. He was running for a handler and puppy title in Philadelphia. So we're talking about human handler and human puppies, deep headspace type work. He was running as a handler, and I got to see his stage presence. I got to see the pageantry. And they won't call it a pageant, they call it a competition. It's a competition.
Drag has pageants. Leather has.
You're picking up on the air of patriarchy, right?
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, it's not that, but it is, right? So I got to watch him win, and I got to watch how he won. And I was like, you know what? I picked the right mentor. I want to do that. I want to have my moment. I'm a thespian, a creative, a performer, if you will. And I would like to be confident in a way in my competition. And so I kind of came in just because that was my first day. I saw him win. I'm like, all right, well, shoot, I want to be next. I want to be in a lineage of what we consider title holders. Very similar to drag pageants, right? Like the title, like if you're associated or adjacent to your mother is a title winner, your sister is a title winner, your brother, you're like, oh, I guess at some point they all gonna look at you like, you in a legendary family. Are you going to be
yeah.
a legend? Are you going to do the thing? But I came in wanting that. I wanted to be, and this again is so funny. This also comes from a space of like, what is my life's work? If I were to refer to my gene keys, and you look at your life's work is actually the opposite of your mother wound.
Hmm.
You
My
said the
mother
opposite of
wound,
your mother wound.
huh?
You said the opposite of mother wound?
Yes. I want to say it's my life's work. So and I can double check that really quickly, but my
Okay.
life's work is liberation. And that would my mother wound would have been oppression. If my life's work is liberation, then my mother wound is oppression, which is fact, which is true.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
in that, I also carry what we call a counterfeit persona in the Tantra world. I carry a counterfeit persona of the rigid, which is the perfectionist, the person who needs to perform, who needs to achieve in order to feel worthy of receiving love. So you mix those two things, and I want to be excellent at being liberated. I want to win a competition. And so, especially a competition about how liberated and how I can lead in liberation. And so, yeah, about 2 years in, well, no, 2020, yep, 2 years in, I started my journey in 2018. And by November 2019, I was running competition. I had done all of the work that made me withstand scrutiny in front of the judges. You know, they're going to ask you questions. The first thing you do on competition day is interview. They're going to spike questions at you, and they're going to, what makes you qualified to run this title? And at a certain point, you want to be able to say, well, I've been boots to the ground. I have walked in New York Pride. I've walked in New Jersey Pride. I have volunteered here, and I have fundraised over here, and I tie and teach over here, and I've attended these conferences here, and I had done all of that. I was undeniable in front of the judges because my mentor knew what to put in front of me. My whole journey was like me tracking the markers of being a leather man, going to New York, going down to the pier, going to the leather stores, getting leathers made, having an authentic Leatherman like experience, something that you would, what you would see in a movie, or as an example of what the leather lifestyle looked like, playing, doing rope and doing scenes and kink scenes in the club, going to the Eagles and shutting it down, making the room stand still because you cracked your whip. Like I did that. And so when the time came for me to compete, I kindly walked across that stage and let them have it.
So was leather something that you looked up to beforehand?
No. Actually, when my mentor first asked me about leather, it was about a year before I actually said yes to him. When he first came to me, like, you ever consider being another man? I was like, no, I like a whole lot of clothes to take off.
I've said the same thing.
That was what my mind said. And then I had a weekend the next year. I had a weekend DC Black Gay Pride. I had two people that I had sex with that weekend, and they were boring. I mean, they bored me to. I was like, wow, I done talked to y'all for months. They were from out of state. I've been talking to either of you respectively for months. One of them, a Broadway dancer, and like that Broadway dancer only wanted to be put in one position on his back with a pillow under his butt. And I was bored. But instead of just leaning on them, I was like, well, what could I have? What didn't I know? What didn't I do? What didn't I understand? What wasn't I being? No, do be and understand to make it better, like what on my part. And so that's what made me go and start looking at like, well, what else can I learn around pleasure? So it was like it was the response to like a boring sex weekend that I had worked for, like literally, like texting, you communicating, you sexting, and all the things for months, and then they are in your presence, and then it's just like, well,
It was weak.
it was weak, and
So
I was like,
that makes me question
Dang.
in the sexting, in the texting. Did you talk about the things that you like to do? Did they talk about anything? Were there plans made as far as that was concerned?
I did not have necessarily the skill set to
Mm,
unpack that conversation. That's not how the gays move in a general sense, at least the Black mainstream gays. They're not having that, those like conversation, or maybe I wasn't having those conversations. Maybe I was too conservative and I wasn't willing to say, I want it like this and I need it like that. So maybe let me not project. I was
no,
not leading a conversation.
I will say that there are a lot of people who say, "Well, I like to get freaky," and when I ask, "What does that
What does
mean?"
that mean?
Yeah,
Everybody's level
yeah.
of
It's
They
like, "What
freaky
does
freeze
is
up
that
or
mean?
so
what?
What is freaky to you?" You know?
They freeze up.
Yeah, they really do freeze up. If you're taking my time, because you're not 5 minutes away. And so this is a premeditated, non-committal sex act. And
yeah.
so I'm going to make sure that I'm getting all that I can out of that premeditated, non-committal sex act. And if you are in a space of, I need this, this, and this, and you're trying to dom me, that's not what I do for fun. So that would have to be a paid gig if you want to
And
do that.
not only are you simply a bitch, but like you then become the enemy because you are too vocal or forward or more vocal and forward than them. Like so
Yeah.
they might have these things that they want and desire, but they don't want to talk about it. It's a lot like heterosexual men too. It's very similar in that way. They will have the desire, but they don't want to talk about the desire. They don't want you to have the conversation prior to. They just want to fall into it. They just want it to be a thing. And so, to your point, I didn't feel liberated to navigate those conversations. I didn't want the smoke back. I didn't want the rejection because I came too strong. I didn't want those things. So I wasn't leading those types of conversations at the time.
Okay.
Becoming a kinkster gave me more vocabulary, gave me more support, gave me a shame-free environment to recognize that I am not alone in what it is that I desire. So those conversations became even more regular. And then you get into, especially in kink, you get into conversations around negotiation and consent. So then you get even more explicit. And then maybe that conversation starts off feeling very technical. Oh, let me get your consent. Let me get your negotiation. Da 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 da. And then you start to get seasoned in kink.
Hmm.
And those conversations of consent and negotiation become sexy again. It's after seasoning, right? It's like, now I know what bases I need to cover. I can have it more casually. It doesn't have to feel so nerdy because I'm not trying to check off the list in my forehead. It's just I have it in my bones now where I'm just like, hey, you asked me for this thing. I'm willing to do this thing. Are you familiar with the stoplight method?
Hmm.
And they're like, yes, I am. Okay, great. So what does yellow mean to you? And it just becomes more effortless and it goes back to feeling like a sexy conversation, especially being in the way of the power exchange. So how somebody approaches me matters. If
Hmm.
you approach me, gay man, I'll say typical gay men, they're approaching and within the first three messages, they're like, you a top or a bottom, automatically turned off, automatically turned
Wait,
off.
3 messages for you?
It's automatic. Okay, I'm curious about what drives when they ask that question. What makes that an automatic turn off for you?
What makes it an automatic turn off? Well, you asked me what my name was, probably you probably asked me what was I doing right now and
You
me
go straight into that.
how you get down.
That's
You're reduced to what you are going to do and the piece that you have
damn. That's wild.
within three messages. So
I
that's what makes it a turn off. You've experienced me in person. To box me in is to do yourself a disservice.
I find that interesting where, people who are not heterosexual or what people call straight, is, and then go into those conversations and treat each other that way.
Oh yeah.
When it's all when the struggle has been being able to accept oneself, one, being able to come into the point where you can accept yourself if you weren't raised like Paulmarq. You got to learn how to accept yourself, and then being able to go out into society and be accepted by other people. But then 3 sentences in, it's like, hey,
I'm putting you back in a box.
It's like, yeah,
yeah,
man, that's wild to me.
It's a straight turnoff. It's like I mean, it's not that we can't get to that conversation.
Yeah, but it's like me if I was, if I was to approach my wife, I'm single, she's single, I'm gonna approach her. Hey girl, what's your name? Marcella, where are you from? Temple. What's your favorite position?
Right
from the jump. She probably,
or even you like sucking
now,
you know what I'm saying? Like right off the jump, like
But now there are some straight men who will just be like, I just want to get my dick sucked.
Well, yeah, of course.
And so you're looking for somebody that will do the sucking.
Yeah.
Someone that is, and hopefully you have the frame of the presence of mind to find someone that is at least pleasing to you to do it. But sometimes you're just looking for someone that's going to do the service.
right? Like, and she's okay with being approached that way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for me, I am a divine being, and I require a bit more time to understand. Like, you can't. I know you don't know me or understand me in 3 messages because I'm a big body bitch. Like, I'm a big body baby. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I know that if you're approaching me that way, when we actually get to the sex, I'm not going to be satisfied.
Right.
Because you're not worshiping me. I'm not going to get to worship you. You're going straight for busting a nut, and I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the journey. I'm not, my focus isn't necessarily on how we gonna bust a nut. It's about, are we gonna enjoy? Is the journey gonna be an adventure? Are we gonna have some fun? Like,
exactly. And it's interesting. I wish I had $100 for every person who has said some version of, I wish you would just shut up and fuck me. Because they don't want to have the conversations. And I'm trying to have the conversations to see if I even want to see you in that arena.
so go ahead, Laz.
I was just thinking intimacy came to mind.
Yeah.
Intimacy. I love, right. So essentially I've evolved, Paulmarq, where like I don't even circulate with gay men like that anymore. It's very different. Like I enjoy men that have reverence for the divine feminine in a different way. So like I feel like my sweet spot right now is like pansexual, bisexual, heteroflexible space.
I love the heteroflexible man.
What
I
is that?
I do.
I have questions, but yeah.
Go ahead,
I could ask chat, but I'm just curious when you say bisexual, I know pansexual is someone who's attracted to everybody, right?
Yeah, it's like
everybody.
Do we vibe together?
Okay.
It's more specific. Does me and the person in front of me, no matter what shape or form they're in, do we vibe? Are we attracted to each other?
And a bisexual person they have a specific gender identity, right? Like male or female. And then they are attracted to male or female, male and female.
So,
or man, woman.
So bisexual is only about attraction. So it doesn't matter how they personally identify. But bisexual means that they have 2 preferences, only 2. So that could be woman and trans woman. That could be, man and trans man. That could be man and woman, but it's only 2.
Got it. Okay. And then hetero flexible is what?
It's people who maybe primarily I exist as heterosexual, but maybe there's something that sparks about an ethereal being that makes them like, you know what, I rock with you. I'd explore with you.
That tends to be all I date,
Yeah.
heteroflexible.
Yeah.
Because
There's just a different reverence in people who have experience with women,
Mm.
a goal,
right.
more about an experience.
And the woman in me appreciates them and they actually see her. So we're able to navigate a more full experience in relationship as well as in the bedroom.
I would even elevate so a lot of the conversations that I'm having is, and, some people might not like this, but it is true that the energy of feminine and masculine transcend a
They do.
physical body,
Yes.
right? So like men are so a tantric man, let's just say if we look at it tantra, a tantric man actually has done the work to love on their own divine feminine, just as like a woman should not have to oppress her masculine for a man to feel masculine. So for a man to feel like a man around her, right? Like we all of us have both energies in us, and it's really how we treat those energies, whether we bastardize that part of us, like as a man, we bastardize the divine feminine part of us because we are taught to. It's not that
Yep.
it's not there, it's that we are taught to as a person who identifies as non-binary and lives my life in a way that allows for me to drift between the feminine and the masculine, and whatever you get is what you get when you get it. Most of the time it does have an air of femininity. Even when I'm masculine, I still have an air of femininity. The point
Yeah.
is, there are people who, especially when you get into like the tantric world and the energy world, like the spiritual world, where they fully feel your feminine, and then they're like, wait a minute, no, like your feminine is strong. Like, what is that? How do you do that? And they feel me. Like they feel the feminine, they appreciate it, and they give reverence to it. Gay men, the typical Black gay man or gay man, is really still stuck in patriarchal ways. They're still holding on to what a man is supposed to be, what a woman is supposed to be. Like they're thinking that just because they're the bottom, that means they're supposed to be barefoot in the kitchen, cooking, and not having to pay any bills. They're the woman in the relationship. They're supposed to be cooking. They're supposed to be cleaning. They're supposed to
So
be
they try
like
to
they're
act just like a female,
like a female, like a
born.
woman. And or if they are the top in the relationship, they are the masculine one, they are the breadwinner, they're supposed to pay for everything, da, 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 da. But what we know
Is
is
it
that even women don't like that.
No.
like that with? I'm curious if it's like that with women, like lesbians, right? You got
Oh
one.
yeah,
Is it
yeah,
like that with them too? You know, you got
yes it is.
what is it called?
The femmes and the studs.
Studs. That's
I
the
I
stud.
do enjoy my relationships with my studs. My relationships with the femmes are cool. We're cordial, but I love me some studs because the masculinity hits me just right. I enjoy a male-bodied or a penis holder that is very masculine in the street, but allows me to kind of flip in the sheets, you know? So I am more more aggressive, more dominant at home, but I like to be treated like a queen whenever I am out in public. And I like someone who will do that. And it seems to be that the ones that either are bisexual or heteroflexible get that. They completely understand and just treat me like the girl I am out in public and then let me do whatever I do when we get home.
Yeah,
And it's
because ultimately with that it makes you feel safe.
yeah.
It's a thing of like Yes, I want you to be the man that you, and be expansive enough to protect me, because the world doesn't protect me. The world is going to, generally, in a general sense, they're going to attack me for the very same thing that you love me for.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
want to
will
say,
you show up for me?
I just wanted to say something, because to me, like when, my wife ties me up, that's whenever I'm leaning into my feminine energy, because now I'm surrendering,
Surrender.
she's in control. Like, I
But
can't move.
surrender isn't
But is
surrender
is
isn't
that
always
feminine
feminine.
though?
I
It's
don't
not
know.
feminine.
I mean, okay.
That's,
No,
No.
no, you actually not that. So I would say you are in a space, maybe you're in a submission space, right? You're in a surrendered space. But even the thought that the feminine is submissive is patriarchal. The feminine is
Yeah.
not submissive.
no.
The
Well,
feminine is wild. The feminine
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild
is
as fuck.
wild. It is dominant. It's insatiable. Women can have countless orgasms.
Yeah.
Like countless.
Shit.
They
That
are
shit's crazy.
insatiable.
Sometimes I'm like, damn, I wish I could do that.
You
You
can't.
can, but you have to
I know.
train.
I mean, like, and just keep, not like women can. Men can't do it
Well,
like women can.
there are a
Yes,
lot
they
of
can.
At least I haven't learned how to be able to
there
have
are a
Right.
lot.
fucking
That's it.
10
There it is.
orgasms and be like this the whole fucking time.
There's work for that. You can separate the
Okay, well,
orgasm
that
from
would
the
be
ejaculation.
awesome to learn how to fucking do that. Like,
I'll send you some notes offline.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, and I've encountered that with some men who feel like they are one and done, and it's like, no, we
I
can
ain't
keep
saying
going.
one and done, but 10 in a row. Like, when I've had those nights where me and my wife are going, and it's like, damn, she fucking, how many times did she fucking come?
Yeah.
And
You know what I'm saying?
you can keep it going.
Huh.
Or
With it, but
Yeah, I need to learn how to do that. Shit.
it's not simple. I mean, it is, but
I think,
it's not simple. It does require training. It does require to know that, like, first of all, most of us don't even know that being in a multi-orgasmic man is possible.
yeah,
If you're wanting to keep up with your wife in that way, you're actually moving towards tantra energy. You're moving towards, because tantra energy actually incorporates the skill set and the discipline to be able to keep up with her. So there's training that comes in where you can as a man, and most of us don't know that. As a man, you can orgasm without ejaculating.
yes, for
And
sure.
many of us haven't gotten to the training. We don't have access. We didn't know that it was possible
of course, you
to
didn't know.
train to be able to have an orgasm without ejaculating. You
So,
can't.
Well, and everybody lines up for the show. They want to see the fireworks. They want to see the display of the orgasm, and it's like, okay, now that's what we're going for.
But
And
but
more there. There's so much.
I want to keep driving. I just want to create a fuller picture. Imagine in tantra, right? Imagine, say you got 21 days, right? You got 21 days that your wife is available. Okay. In tantra, you take those 21 days and maybe you are having sex, right? But you're not ejaculating in those 20. Have sex regularly. Leave that ejaculation for the day of her ovulation's peak. And then you let it out. So you've got 21 days stored. And then you're damn near guaranteed a tantric baby.
she gonna hit the ceiling.
And you gonna hit the ceiling. Because do you see how, if you zoom out of
Yeah.
that picture, it makes complete sense. But yeah, see, that's where semen retention comes in. But
Yeah.
semen retention doesn't mean that you're not having sex. It means that you've separated your orgasm from your ejaculation.
Say that again, because
My
there
wife
is.
is about to be, it's probably gonna be Friday or Saturday where she's gonna be ready. And it's crazy, y'all. Like, It used to be as soon as she was finished, that it was like she's ready to jump on. This it's lately, it's like we're always, it's a different now, but what I've noticed recently more often, it's like she starts and that energy, that freaking, I don't know what you want to call it, like that fucking eye of the tiger, I want to jump on you right fucking now shit starts happening like she just finished. It's interesting.
So there is some kink where you want to have sex while on a cycle. So there are lots of things to explore in that arena. I did want to, because we kind of stepped over it, I wanted to hear what you said about semen retention one more time, very clearly for the people in the back of the room.
Mm,
Semen retention does not mean that you're not having sex.
mm-hmm.
It just means that you're not ejaculating.
Mm-hmm.
You can semen retention says that you can literally be, you're practiced enough to have orgasms, multiple orgasms, without ejaculating. The ejaculation is the part that actually depletes you. So when like when you're like, oh, she can go 10 times. Well, technically you can go 10 times if you practice and not ejaculate. You can feel all the sensations of orgasming without there being an actual
I think I've experienced this. I don't
ex
think, I know for a fact I've experienced this before,
Mhm.
but I haven't had this conversation about it.
and it's just
That's
approaching
what,
intention.
this is the place to have the conversation. This is the place
We're in the
to,
portal.
Yeah.
to give permission. And this is the place to not hold back and to
Yeah.
just share all the things. So, if
And
you
y'all are coming at me. This is all fresh knowledge for me. I'm literally in a tantric program right now, like a 12
Mhm.
week. I'm in like week 7, week 8 of a 12-week tantra program. So I'm literally giving y'all fresh wisdom that I'm actively learning and internalizing. I just had class last night, and it's real. Like that. It's real. It's crazy how much more mechanics there are to sex than where the wasp life has stopped us.
Right. And there are some people who discover semen retention and all of a sudden ejaculation is the enemy. And
That don't have to be the case either.
exactly,
It's actually not the
That's
case.
it's
that's
not.
this
Now,
sounds,
if we want to get freaky, you want to get into the tantra. When
Right.
you, let's say you aren't trying to make a kid,
Mhm.
right? And you store up and we call it charging, right? We're charging the semen with intentions and all the things.
Right.
When you do ejaculate after 21 days, and it's let's just say it's some large load, do you know that there's like things and work that you can do with what was put, like with the stuff, the fluid? Like
Right.
if a woman takes that fluid you just worked 21 days to build for her, and she takes that and she rubs it on her boobs, all of a sudden her boobs actually begin to stand up. They start to firm again. Or like there's all kinds of work.
that makes me want to take
Okay.
tantra classes now.
Semen, I won't say all.
Healthy
Most
semen,
semen is, yeah, healthy semen is really good as a moisturizer. It's an antidepressant. It's
skin
there,
tightener.
yeah, there's all sorts of things that can be done with
But
the,
I've seen memes about this shit, and
and
dude,
the tantra,
like,
but it's true. It
they
is
make
yeah,
jokes
I
actually,
about
know.
it.
yeah.
But tantric living
Mhm.
is a very intentional practice of healthy eating, water drinking, practicing jelking, edging. You're training you're
Joking
training
to get a
yourself.
larger member.
What is joking?
So, explain joking.
Jelking is, it's like edging, but
Edging is getting close and not right.
and not completing.
Okay.
Jelking is like that, but it's not about completion. It's about you're extending length and like you're it's like more massaging. You're massaging the phallus to create more length or more girth.
So, and with joking, you might use a restrictor, so a cock ring of some sort.
Okay.
And actually, it's a little bit looser than the traditional cock ring, but the idea is to get as much blood into the phallus as possible and then hold it there. And you're training it to, because it's mostly erectile tissue, you are training it to
To be
hold.
able to receive more blood. So you do
Oh,
all of this training so that when you get to the sex is not hour. It's not 2 hours. You don't know when it's gonna like you might as well just go ahead and shut down a day because
man,
the day is ceremonial and y'all are going to rumble because you've worked 21 days to rumble.
Royal
And
Rumble.
then we're also talking, adjacent to joking, there's also edging, there's also gooning. There are all of these things that you can do where you are taking the male body or the penis holder to these edges or to the extremes of pleasure and holding them there. Or, so in edging, you get them there and then you bring them back. But in gooning, you get them there and you hold them there. Asked me to be a dom, and I was like, no. I mean, now, granted, if someone's gonna have a paddle, it will be me, but I just don't want to encompass all the stuff that comes with being the dom, you know? So,
To answer your question, am I a dom? I would have to say no. I am quite dominant, but out of respect for myself and the work and all the other things, I am a bit beyond considering myself a dom or a dominant. I am recognized. So earlier we talked about, you asked me about leather, and what I failed to do was make the distinction of like, what's the difference between kink and leather? So like kink is the playground, it's the craft, it's the play, it's all of those things. Leather is a community that it's either you can some people consider it the community, other people consider it an ideology that forms a community, but it
mm.
is the safety mechanism. It's really like the safety, the reverence. If kink became, let's say, a institution, that would be leather. So there's like pillars and concepts that leather folk hold true to.
Mm.
It's a deep sense of community. It's giving back and fundraising. It's honor and integrity and doing no harm. It doesn't mean that you ain't gonna put down some hurt, but out of integrity, you're not going to do harm. And hurt and harm is not synonymous.
So
So
is leather connected to the biker community?
it is derived
Okay,
from a mix between leather, I mean, a mix between biker and military.
that makes sense.
Wow.
It's a correlation between biker and military. A lot of
Okay.
military people became bikers, and a lot of bikers, it was there was an intersection. And so a lot of these skills and crafts that came back, they came to America from war. Like people came back liberated because they experienced Berlin. They
Okay.
came back liberated, or they came back wanting to do rope because they were in Japan. So these things came
Mm.
from when soldiers were coming back from war, and they were now bringing these crafts back to their wives, their partners, and the gay leather community specifically was like, you think leather and kink might be subversive. Yes, but gay leather is even more subversive because if you think about the time when World War One, World War Two, Berlin, the conflicts in Berlin and when they were in Japan and so on and so forth.
Mm.
World War II.
It was not a time where gay people could be gay openly. So then you establish these venues such as the Eagle. And the Eagles were safe havens, and they were safe havens and protective zones for men specifically at a certain point, men to go and indulge themselves safely. So you would, like, at the time, people would come in, they might come into the Eagle in their suit, and then there were
Right.
lockers in the Eagle, and they were assigned and like they were locked, and so you could keep your leathers in the Eagle. You would walk in like a businessman, you would change into your leathers, and then you would continue beyond. You would go into the next room, into the back room. But there
Oh,
was a sense of community, there was a sense of honor, integrity to protect itself.
okay.
So
See, and
when
I was thinking that there would be a correlation to you couldn't hang out, you couldn't go to a gay bar, but if it was a military bar, then it's okay for a bunch of men to all be together in
Exactly. So if it was
uniform.
perceived to be a biker bar or a military
Yes.
bar or something else, it was easier to be clandestine. There's shows about this on Netflix
oh really?
now that speak to what gay people were going through during that time. There's Ruskin was about the gay man who was actually running the Million Man March for Martin Luther King. There was a gay man standing behind Martin Luther King
Really?
that got him on the March on Washington. Yes, that was a gay man behind him.
Well,
That's crazy that I just learned that.
there would not be music in most black churches if it wasn't for the gay choral
I
director.
mean, we understand that. In a general sense, I think we understand that particular point. But what we don't understand is how pivotal the gays and queer people have been in government and politics. That's a whole nother discussion. Think
Right.
about the impact of Martin Luther King at the Million Man March. And there would not have been a Million Man March with Martin Luther King as the speaker without one black gay man
Mhm.
running that whole thing. And his name was Ruskin. His last name was Ruskin. So like there's so many different concepts, but let me come back to your initial question.
Mhm.
So why I say I don't consider myself a dominant in this world of leather that has these pillars of honor, integrity, doing no harm, community service, all these things, I have been publicly recognized as a master.
Okay.
So it's likened to if you are in church and you're ordained to be a pastor,
Mhm.
you're not just going to settle with somebody saying that you're a minister.
Mm,
Mm.
got it.
I am a pastor. I'm a master, and
That
so I am not a dominant. There's anybody can call themselves a dominant, but the work that I have put in
Hmm.
distinguishes me drastically. I am publicly recognized, and I was recognized at a big conference. I was present and I'm distinct. There's a climb, just like ranks, right? I became a sir the same day that I won Mr. Maryland Leather in 2019.
Is that where Zer comes from?
That's where Zerg comes from. It's the non-binary for sir. So I was a sir in 2019. I was by 2022, 2023, I was being elevated publicly to master. And that involves, I had my own leather family. I had 5 people who were following behind me, a mentee, a slave, and 3 submissives. I also moved when I was a sir. I was a sir under a patriarchal lineage. I had a male as a mentor. When I was elevated to master, I had a matriarchal lineage. I have a leather mother who is about 72 years old. She's been in the game a long time. She
Okay.
was busting it down in New York. She was busting it down in Georgia, Texas. She's lived abroad in Italy and all these other places where she owns a like 5-bedroom home in West Baltimore that was built off of sex work money and being a mistress and nothing else. So I have that type of lineage that recognizes me as Mxter Xero. Yes, I am dominant, but
That's old
I
news.
am a master, and I'm actually a master switch,
Okay.
which means that no matter what, whether I am submissive or whether I am dominant, I am still master. I'm masterful in doing it.
Okay.
So is that whenever Paulmarq asked, "Are you Dom?" Is that why you kind of chuckled and was like, "Me or Laz?"
I chuckle. One, it was like a ping off of the earlier when I explained what Mxter was.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm master, master coach, recognized master, master hypnotist, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recognized that I had not articulated what made me master in these realms, or what made me master in leather. And the reason why I chuckle is because it's actually a faux pas in our community to reference somebody who is recognized as a master as a dominant. It's like, do you know who you're talking to? Do you-
Party
Well,
now.
and then people outside the community would not know.
Right,
Yeah,
which is why
not
it's
at
a
And
all.
chuckle.
this
It's
is
an eternal chuckle. It was
yeah.
definitely an eternal chuckle. And then it made me aware that I hadn't told the story of legend that is Mxter Xero. I'm already at 35, about to turn 36 in 2 days. I literally ran ran a beautiful race to get to where I am in a very short period of time.
Just like people outside of the community wouldn't know about the community service, about the pillars, about the
The
integrity
codes
and
and
all of this
conduct,
stuff.
all
Because
of that.
people would
Yep.
just look at it and be like, whatever their
Yep.
thoughts come up about it.
And then it's not a regular occurrence that somebody would move as efficiently or thoroughly as I did to be recognized by the elders, right? Like th- being a master puts you in the same league as people who have been doing it for 20 years, 15 years, 30 years. But if you were to sit down with me and have a conversation about the things that I've done, the things that I've witnessed, the things that I have set forth, the changes that I've made, the radical action that I've taken, the stories from doing rope on plantations through tying a heterosexual man as a psychedelic experience.
Yeah, in front of
Ain't nobody
40 people.
who's checking me. Nobody.
Right.
My first slave at 30, I was 29. My first slave was 49. And I had her for 3.5 years. Nobody could really check me for my skills and mastery. Because not only did I do it, I did it publicly. My slave at the time when she came to me was already in the game like 7 years prior. Everybody knew her in the community. So what happened was, as she developed and as she looked like she was aging, her countenance changed, her aura changed, and she started, it was visible that her connection with me was a catalyst for a transformation. That is like my proof is in the product of the people and who I've developed and the things that I've set forth into the world. I don't got to prove shit. Look at her.
Well,
Go.
even to, I'd say even to have the aura that I would walk up to you and say, "Hey, are you doing
Yeah, y'all. It
a
was so
presentation? Are
strange.
you doing what's the word I'm looking for? Presentation. Just say presentation.
Mhm.
And if you are, I want to volunteer."
Yeah, I see what you pull out of your bag, and I think there's medicine there for me.
That's exactly what I
Said, and I was
said.
like, oh.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're like this.
can you tell me
Well,
more?
and that actually brings us to like, do you have a special intake or interview process when people want to work with you
Mm,
or connect with you?
The easiest way to start the process is to book an exploratory call with me. Not only do I want to meet you, but I want you to experience me. I want you to see beyond what's online. I want you to see beyond what's on my Instagram and on my website. There's this old phrase from the church. They said, there's nothing that you get closer to that gets better except for God or Jesus. And I beg to differ. I think that I am even more potent in person than I am online. And I think that I
I
want,
agree.
I can vouch for that.
I
thank you.
agree. Yeah.
And when we converse, when we have that exploratory call, I get to one, see if you can actually handle me, right? Like handle like my presence, if I'm talking directly to you, if I'm, I'm and on my line of questioning. Why me? What
Right.
brought you to me? I asked Laz the same question. I said, why what happened? Like why me? And he actually fully expressed why. And then I had to step, I was like, well, let me think about it. I stepped away for a
Yep.
second and I was like, And then I came back and we negotiated. It was masterful. Even
Mhm.
me and Laz's interaction for that scene to occur was me effortlessly in a space of mastery. Like he came to me, he made a request. I didn't immediately go into frenzy and say, "Oh my God, this
Nope.
heterosexual man want me to tie him. It's gonna be so sexy." No, fuck that. I was like, Why me?"
That's important because not only are you doing a PPP, but there is also this thing where so many of us feel that the invitation obligates you to say yes.
And it did not. My first reaction was, do I want to be this man's hurdle? Do I want to be
Mm,
this man's checkpoint for
Right.
whether or not he is healed or not? Like
And
that's labor on my queer body.
and even is this man safe to
Is he
take
even
into
safe?
the realms? Yeah, is he safe? If he's
So
safe within himself, is he safe for me?
is he safe
yep.
for me? So I took my time. I stepped back a minute. I said, well, let me think about it. Came back. And even in that, when I came back, I had thought to myself, well, what would I need out of this for me to agree to be the hurdle, to
Hmm.
be the checkpoint? What did I need? And I came back to him very full chested. Okay, well, if we did it, would you be willing to bottom publicly? For because I'm set to do a demonstration on Thursday. Would you be willing to do this in front of the room? And he was like, yes. I think he sat on it for a second. He said yes. And then I said, okay. It's like, give me some more time. Came back to him. I said, well, also, the only way that I feel like we could do this true justice for this environment would be for the room to understand why we were coming to the mat together. So that would mean I need you to tell them the same thing you just told me, and I'm going to tell them what was coming up for me as I was hearing it, so that the whole experience now has intentions. Room is fully brought into the moment, and it's
Mhm.
not just two people
It's not just a show.
kinking.
Yeah.
We
Right.
are here doing a healing and grounding and releasing process for the room to witness. So that because it also allowed for me to demonstrate kink or rope as a healing modality in a room full of healers, in a room full of coaches, in a room with all kinds of people, male, female, queer, heterosexual. This is a craft that I can stand on that ain't sensual or sexual. Maybe it is sensual, but it ain't sexual based. And this is about the work that we are about to do and how Laz and I are both coming to this mat to leave our fears respectively on it. And
And as we talk
Yes,
about
yes.
negotiation, because you brought that up, and when we talk about negotiation, there's also the expression of boundaries and
Hmm.
setting boundaries.
Hmm.
Do you come with a set of hard no's, and how do you address when a person who comes to you has hard no's?
Yes, I do have hard nose. And before I answer that question, I do want to just, do y'all see the mastery in that exchange though?
Yes.
Like the could like it happened over days. It wasn't like it
Yeah.
wasn't rushed. It
Nope.
was, and I came back to him repeatedly to make sure he
Repeatedly.
felt safe and that he was standing behind his decision.
Yep.
And that was me. That was just an essence of me moving in mastery.
You kept coming back to me, asking me if I was safe numerous times.
Yes.
And there
And
was
so then we
all
get to
kinds of
I
new
wanted to
stuff
be
coming
clear
up
on his
every time.
boundaries. I wanted to be super clear on his boundaries. I wanted to be crystal clear on his boundaries because me being clear not only allows for me to keep him safe, but actually it was for me to keep myself safe, right? Because
Yep.
had I triggered him,
Yeah.
I might not have been safe. And I
Yes.
needed to ask all the questions because Laz is a big dude. He's a
Exactly.
bodybuilder too. I am a frail fairy, not frail, but I am a very delicate flower, a very elegant rose, if you will. And
I mean, I outweigh you by like 70 pounds. So,
I'm period.
yeah.
I'm 130.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, and I even had fear coming up to the mat, like, is this gonna be the one time I have to cut my rope? Because this person volunteer for such a radical experience. I've never had to cut my rope. I've always been boo boo boo, but I always have my security shears, my safety shears to make
Right.
sure. I did not know though, because this person was so starkly different than what I had worked with before. While willing, I know anything can be a trigger. Like the proximity can be a trigger, touching in a certain spot can be a trigger. Boundaries was super, super important to
Yeah.
me. Do I have hard limits? Absolutely. And I look at you sideways if you don't have limits. I think that it's important for me to say out loud for anybody who is listening that if you are trying to endeavor into kink, have clarity on your boundaries. If somebody asks you if you have boundaries and you say, just because there's a twinkle in their eye and a twinkle in your eye, and you want this experience, if you say that you don't have boundaries, that is not alluring. That
No,
is
it's
not enticing. And if it is enticing to the person that you say it to, that person is probably not safe. That person is probably not safe. They're probably predatory. They're
Mhm.
probably unskilled because someone saying that they don't have boundaries is not attractive. It is dangerous.
Mm.
And typically, when somebody tells me that they don't have boundaries, I masterfully check them. And I say, so you're telling me that if I want you to cut your hair and your eyebrows off, that you are okay with that? And they'll, to which they'll be like, no, I'm not cutting my brows off. Then baby, you have boundaries and you need to be able to articulate them. Like it's really that simple. There are people who are wicked in the world, and you should not be green. I mean, we love green, but you should not be green in thinking that they won't test the fact that you said that you don't have boundaries. They're going to make them lean into testing it. As far as my boundaries, I don't do race play. I don't do scat. I think those are the main two.
okay.
I could say blood, but that wouldn't be true because I'm an ex-phlebotomist. I was a phlebotomist at the leading research hospital in the world, Johns Hopkins, for 2 years. Everything from pediatrics to elderly and cancer patients in between. So I'm not squeamish of blood. I am a
Right.
needle player. So if you want to have some art done on you with some needles, I do that work.
And you also do whip work.
I also do whip work. I'm not
So
opposed to whips.
blood can happen even accidentally in whip work. So
Not on my watch, but yes, I say that because whipping can be done masterfully as well,
Mhm.
where skin is not broken. I don't want people to think that whips automatically mean that skin is broken because that is what's portrayed.
It
That
is.
is absolutely what is portrayed in movies and such. But whips do not have to break skin. They don't even have to touch the skin to be effective. Trust
Right.
me, I know. You can be touched by the wind of the whip and
Mhm.
it be effective. Like it's a
Mm.
puff of air that
Right.
comes as the whip is cracking. And if you're just far enough away from the skin, the body feels that puff of wind quite
Mhm.
sharply. It is not the whip actually hitting you. So that's the level of skill that I am able to embody, which is why I'm like, whips don't necessarily imply blood. Can they? Have I drawn blood with them? Yes. But those were with my own people that wanted that smoke from me. And to lean into that just a little bit, I know people get squeamish of like the idea of sadism and masochism.
Mhm.
People get squeamish at the idea that somebody is willing and able to inflict pain. But one of the first movies that I watched around Kink, and I'm sketchy about sharing it because, um, well, it's called Secretary. The reason
I've
why I'm
seen that.
sketchy about sharing it is because it's not actually a healthy depiction of power exchange. It was a boss and his employee, and
There was no intake
there
there.
was no boundaries and consent
No.
conversation. There was an imbalance in power and authority,
Yes.
and he took advantage of it. The one thing that I walked away from that movie recognizing is that the masochist is going to be the masochist with or without the sadist.
I,
Mm.
yes.
What that means is in that movie, the woman already had some issues. She was a cutter. Upon him recognizing that that was the case when she was stressed, and he would stress her out now, upon recognizing that that was the case, he replaced her cutting kit. He
Mhm.
strategically placed himself. He said, essentially, he said, you can get rid of that.
Mm.
I will take care of whatever chaos you need. I will be the person to distribute it. How does that apply? How can I bring that home for us as psychedelic coaches? The
Right.
difference between toxic and medicine is titration. It's the amount of the
It's the
medicine
dose.
given.
Yes.
So it's a different scenario for someone to be cutting on themselves than for somebody who is responsible to step in and, let's just say, deliver a satisfying chaos that curbs self-defeating behavior.
Well, and actually, I will say, as a person who has had friends who were cutters, and I even dated one for a while, most of them are just trying to feel something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're trying to stop, they're trying to get out of being numb. And
Yeah.
so then you have somebody like me who is not, I am not a angry sadist. I'm not somebody who is trying to take out my rage and vengeance and darkness on somebody else. I am a skilled sadist. I am someone who can step in and measure
Mhm.
what I'm delivering to you to keep you away from even more harmful behavior.
And the closest I come to that is like a little spanking, but it's it's
Yeah.
kind of on that journey.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
It's just kind of
I'm
stepping.
just particularly masterful at, like, I will go there. I've
Mhm.
done the work to be able to deliver the thing. It's similar to like when you're sitting for like ayahuasca or you're sitting for like high doses of of anything.
Psilocybin.
The
Yeah.
people create, it's a big energy to hold of that person is meeting their darkness, they're meeting shadow, they're meeting hurt, trauma, pain, whatever chaos, right?
Mhm.
And we as psychedelic facilitators that actually sit in ceremony and facilitate, we have a particular nervous system to be able to handle the screams, the yells, the tears,
Mhm.
the
I had a lot of
rage,
tears come out that day.
huh?
To be able to handle what came out of me that day when you were rolling me around the mat, and then my foot went up, and then my second foot went up, and I thought I ain't no getting out.
It's a particular skill set to be able to handle somebody's rawness. And
Yeah.
that's the same skill set that I am applied that's actually like what makes me a great psychedelic facilitator is the fact that I started in Kink. I'm not concerned about your tears. I'm not judging you. I'm not concerned about your rage. I'm not concerned about your anguish. I'm not concerned about it. I am probably one of the best people because I'm gonna sit there and I'm like, give me more.
Yeah. Well,
What?
and when you realize it's not about you.
It's not about me. Give me more. What else is there? What are you making that mean? Famous
Yeah.
question. What are you making that mean?
Say more.
Say more about that. I'm
Mhm.
going to try out because I want to wring it out so that you can leave it there. I'm
Yeah.
not scared of you. You know, I'm not scared of and that's essentially the energy of shamanism, right? It's
Yep.
shaman energy. Some once wise woman told me you can't be a shaman and be scared of your own medicine.
True. So, with that in mind, is there something that you're still curious about that you have not tried?
Is there something that I'm still curious about that I have not tried? Actually, I'm in it. I had not tried Tantra.
Okay.
And the depths of Tantra and like that, I would say that's one of the things. I think anything that I actually desire, I don't fear is not a motivator. It's not as strong, especially in getting the things that I want. It's not as strong. If fear comes up for me, it's very, very, very subversive. Like fear might come up for me on posting content. Like, why am I not posting content regularly? What's in the way? Like, what am I scared of that's keeping me from posting? But like overt fear of like getting a thing that I want, desire, that approaching something, I don't that's not something that I have to work with much anymore. If I want it, typically the universe will align for me to be in front of it. And I think the depths of sexuality and spirituality, the depths of the intersection of spirituality and sensuality, it's wild. Case in point, I don't know if y'all knew this, but there's actually about three types of tantra, which is non-sexual tantra. Then
Mhm.
there's red tantra, which is sexual, like it's indulgence incorporated, meaning like red tantra says use everything, use your orgasm, use pleasure, use your senses, use everything. And then there's black tantra, which probably leans into ritual, probably leans into, utilizing menses and blood, probably leans into, and see, not everybody is squeamish of menses, like we talked about earlier. Some
Yeah.
people will interact with a woman while she's on her
Okay.
cycle,
Okay.
and that is a type of magic. If you get into that depth of comfort with a woman, y'all go together real bad. Oh no,
For some, well, and I'm saying this
I
because
mean, not my
I
experience. I'm
know
not
those
saying no.
I know those people, and we don't yuck their yum.
we're
But
not. No, no, no.
yeah,
Nobody's
well,
jumping the yum.
that was to
I'm
laugh.
just saying that the
Yeah,
connection is stronger after
yeah,
that interaction, period. Even if they're saying it's additional lube, that's fine. But
yeah,
the connection afterwards is not to be played with because it's similar to, let's say, in this again, without judgment, because there's whole lifestyles dedicated to these things.
exactly.
But like vampirism is real. Like
Oh, yeah.
people actually do forge bonds. and relationships and connection through interactions with blood.
Yeah.
And so I think ignorance does not negate the depth of connection that
Yeah.
happens when you're interacting with such a fluid.
Exactly.
Even if it's just additional lube, the connection is still going to be completely off the Richter because like especially on the woman's part.
Hmm.
Like to have somebody that's willing to receive her at her rawest form is a whole nother level of connection. So that
Your
in no
take.
way was my intention to yuck and yuck. I'm just identifying the depths that sexuality and connection and intimacy can go. And if I'm answering the question of like, are there things that I, may have had fear around that I haven't approached yet? I'm actually in not say, listen, I'm
I
not
didn't even say anything. I didn't bring up the fear thing. More about the fear thing.
curious about the depths. I'm curious about the depths, the fears. I'm curious about where are my edges? Like
Mhm.
where are the things that I don't know where I stop? That maybe that's the mastery of it all is I tend to pursue the things in curiosity, even through fear, because
Mhm.
I want to find where those edges lie. I don't feel like, and this is my liberated self.
So then that brings another question. Do you look for things that incite fear in you and then lean into it? Like, does that become something? Is it like, oh, that was a little scary. Next on my list, we're gonna do that.
I don't think that that conversation in my head happens congruently. Like it doesn't happen
Yeah.
like in a snap. It's like, oh, fear, I'm taking you down. I
Right.
think it's a thing where I'll have met the fear at some point, and
Mhm.
then time will pass. And because I'm aware of the fear, the universe will align me to
Mhm.
receive more information. The universe will send people to have conversations around me, maybe to me, or maybe I'll scroll across something and then something clicks. Okay.
Maybe.
And then next thing you know, I'm standing in front of the thing.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all right, I'm here now. So it's almost like waiting in line for the roller coaster.
For me, it's that third time it comes around. It's like, once, okay, that's a coincidence. All right. Twice, maybe I need to look at this. Third time, okay, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
So I asked that question to see what your plan was to dive deeper.
I would say honestly, and I know it sounds very woo-woo, but the universe just be dropping stones in front of me.
Oh yeah.
And then the question really just becomes, am I going to take the step or the leap? It's right there. There's no cost even associated with it, at least not even a financial cost. It's right there. Are you going to say yes to the invitation or not? And so at that point, I am mainly making sure this is one of my frameworks. I'm mainly making sure that I'm making a clear
Mhm.
decision, which stands in my practice, that stands for conscious, liberated, embodied, accountable, and reflective.
Okay, clear. Got that.
Am I making a clear choice? Meaning, is this going to create mess? Or because I really don't like mess. I don't like messiness in
But
my life.
sometimes it's a pretty mess.
Pretty mess is art. Like I can do that.
Mhm.
But like messy mess,
Yeah, true.
ignorant mess, I have like a slight aversion to because it distracts me from I run a whole empire. I run a business by
Right.
myself. I got people that I want to love on. I got things. I don't really have time for messiness because it just wastes energy. It's an energetic sap on me. So I not saying that I won't interact in the mess as long as it is conscious, as long as it's liberated. Like, will I do things for the plot? Yes, I
Yeah.
will. But I'll give you this. I'm a 6'2" as well.
Really,
Means that
bro?
I'm done the fucking around part as like
Yeah.
I'm like I've done a lot of just walking into things blindly, and I'm in the second part of my sixth line where I'm like, will I still take a dare? Will I still take a risk? Yes, but it comes very, very calculated now.
Well,
So what?
it's funny to get to my two. I'll do things on dare just to prove that I can. And then once I've done it, people are like,
Pish, pish posh.
are you going to do that again? No, not at all.
I don't do that no more.
You don't do what?
It depends. It depends.
What's your profile?
6'2".
Oh, you're a 6'2" too?
All
Yeah.
of us are 6'2s. So
How close are you to 50?
7 year, well, 6.5 years.
Out from it. Yeah. So yeah, you're definitely linked because you about to be on the roof in a minute.
Nice.
You ain't even brought forth your best yet. Yeah.
right.
And I feel it.
So here is that space where, and all of us 6'2s, here's that space where we are, the goal is to maintain because we know we're not hitting stride till 50.
Well, I'm already on the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
Kidding me.
I don't claim an age, but I will tell you.
I'll speak for myself then. I'm in preservation mode because I know I strive for real, for another 14 years.
Mm.
So this
I,
is,
I'm doing my best to not restrict myself to hitting my stride until I'm 50.
Well, and we actually had this conversation off camera, but being a generator, you can get into spaces where there's generator overwhelm.
you roll your eyes like
I
that.
wasn't rolling. I'm thinking like, what
Yeah.
is Paulmarq about to say right now? Not rolling
And
my eyes.
and we actually had this conversation when I told you, when I asked you how old you were, and I was like, oh yeah, in about 7 years, you will hit a space where you just there are no fucks to give. And it's like it's a wonderful space to be. And I noticed it. Like I never claimed an age because I didn't want to be any age between 33 and 50. None of those numbers were anything that I wanted to align with. So I was like, nope, not going to do it. Now, I even said I might turn 50 early just because. And I will tell you that it was like 2 months before my actual birthday, where I found myself looking around and going, I am too old for this shit. And I had a friend who was 52 at the time who was like, well, Paulmarq, you're going to be blah, blah, blah. And I was like, turning 50 is not a big thing. I don't really care about it. I'm not going to do a thing. But when I hit that point, I was like, am I going to turn? I think I'm going to turn 50 and right on time because I had seen all the other stuff and I was like, no, I'm done. It was right on time, 2 months before. I remember it was March and I was like, yeah. And I remember exactly where I was when I had
The
this
roof
thing.
moment.
I was actually at Trinity Groves and we had just gone and eaten. We had pineapple fried rice and it was served in a pineapple. I remember that part. And we were getting ready to leave. And as we're walking out, I was like looking around and somebody did something. I don't even remember what it was, but they were doing something. I was like, I had one of those you whippersnapper moments, and I was like, I am too old for that right now. And that was when it happened. And I was like, okay, so this is where I am now. And I was able to, now I got over it. And so I will say 50 is wonderful. And I still am guessed to be much younger when I'm talking to people. Actually, I don't say it as often as other people do because I realize that when you are constantly saying I am, you are aligning with whatever energies other people have attached to that. And so me staying youthful was in alignment with me. Okay, so how old do you think I am? And they throw out a number and I would just smile and go, thank you. And then just change the subject. So I was being fed that I was younger than I actually am. I love that.
Sir, what would you want people who are new to kink to know about the journey?
What would I want people to know? I would want people to know that your journey into kink can be safe, can be sexy, and it can be sacred. I want people to know that in me pointing that out, when done haphazardly, a journey in kink can be unsafe, can and unsafe in a way that actually impedes your sense of sexiness.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be done without consciousness and spiritual hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just there no without judgment, both realities are true. Both realities can exist. What I am a proponent of is the safe, sexy, and sacred journey. And for me, that looks like what I have spent the past 2 years building, which is a preparation process for people recognizing that they are desiring to expand, recognizing that they are desiring to move deeper into their pleasure, deeper into their sense of sensuality, and that maybe aren't aware even of how their internal sense of safety impacts that, and are unaware that they too can have a hygiene around participating. So my actual academy, which is the Academy of Transmutation Alchemy, or the ATA for short, is a bridge program that prepares people for how to interact with community when you begin to make these decisions to move into kink or into psychedelics or into pleasure mastery, let's say it that way, right? Your community is going to change. It has to bump out to create spaciousness for this bigger version of you to exist, which means that people are going to fall off and you should let them, because there are people who want to keep you in the triangle. I want people to know that your timeline is informed by the constructs that you hold, and that if you don't negotiate those constructs, you will find yourself confined in a cage.
That was a wonderful nugget.
Your timeline is informed by the constructs that you have not negotiated with. They will either uphold the playground or create the cage. I want people to know that you can have it all, but your mind, body, and spirit must be communicating in harmony. So your actions, your thoughts, your words all have to be speaking the same language,
Makes
right?
sense.
That's what's in the safe component of my academy.
Okay.
Then we get into the sexy. I want people to know that they can be just bold enough to fill in the blank. I want people to, especially Black and Brown people, to give themselves permission to take 7 audacities a day. Give yourself an audacity quota
Hmm.
to be just bold enough to X whatever that thing is.
Well,
Then
I have my
once you
gay audacity and my theater major audacity.
come
So
on,
I'm like, let's do it. There are so many things I will do where I think, you know what? I've got the audacity, and if I fall, I fall, but maybe I'll get it done.
and if you fall, you can fall forward.
Exactly.
But
The failing forward, that is something that I talk about all the time, and you were the first person.
there's a song that I want you to listen to by a woman named Naya, Niia. It's called Falling Forward. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's ominous and it's beautiful. I use it in ceremony all the time.
Okay.
Then after you are just bold enough, then make sure that you are embodied. Feel all the things, like you have permission to feel all things. You don't have to be numb. Your actions and your decisions should come from places and communications within your body. Are you
Hmm.
listening to your gut? Are you listening to your heart? Are you listening to your, like, all these parts coming? Then you give yourself permission to explore. So that's all the sexy, emboldening, embodiment, and exploration. And then in the sacred, we want to discuss sacred space, which is that ritual and setting. We want to discuss sacred pace, which is habit logic and spiritual hygiene. And
Habit.
then we want to discuss sacred grace. After you've done all of this in living and preparing yourself to walk this, life still ain't promising you that it's going to be cupcakes and butterflies. Life is still going to it's going to feel like it's fucking you until you decide to breathe, surrender, right? It's the dance between serenity, sovereignty, and surrender.
Okay.
Serenity, sovereignty, and surrender brings you into what I like to call the bliss of the clapback. Okay,
Oh, let's get to the clap back.
the
Bliss
clap,
of the
the
clap.
life. When I say that, that is me saying, telling you, and communicating that life is promising you. It's promising you a throb.
Hmm.
It's promising you that
And
it's going to penetrate. It's going to punch. It's going to get in there, and the difference is how you choose to receive it. Receiving it with breath, receiving it with acceptance, making it juicy, but
hmm
so that life moves from fucking you to making love to you. You did
and
all of this work so that life feels like it's making love to you now.
mm, yay.
That is what I want people to, that is what kink is. It is a process of transmuting. It is taking yourself through a rumble, through the throes, so that when you're moving through life and somebody says go to hell, you can tell them I live there.
Yo, no.
I have a nice
I need
apartment
to be,
for
hey,
Fahrenheit.
nah. Hold up. I and the weights are set back. I feel like right now, motherfucker need to be on the Oregon after reserve with a sentence. Like,
Listen, I'm trying to tell you, that was
no.
the perfect question because I built a whole community, a whole academy for people to answer that question. What is in kink? Like, not even just kink, but
Mhm.
like psychedelics feels the same way. Kink is also a mind manifesting psychedelos, a mind manifesting experience. My mastery is like showing up in both. I created this program for mind mastery of mind manifesting.
It's all about the peak experiences. And speaking to that, you did touch a little bit on the hygiene portion and knowing that you are a person that includes props. And we've had people who have talked about lubes and toys and stuff. How do you keep your toys clean? And do you ask people to bring their own?
It depends on the toy.
Okay.
It depends on what kind of toy it is. If it's an insertable and they have their own collection, I do encourage them to bring it.
Okay.
If it's my insertable, I put the entire insertable in a condom and
Okay.
tie the condom at the end,
Ah, okay.
not at the end. So like the whole thing is protected.
Okay, good.
And even in between then, you know, a good insertable can withstand a dishwasher, like the heat, the
Yes.
sterilization of a dishwasher.
Yes.
As far as non-insertable toys, I don't. ask for people to bring their own things.
Okay.
I have my own hygiene. Okay. And I just want to go ahead just to put the cap on what I was that whole monologue that I gave earlier. Bringing your safe, sexy, and your sacred into harmony, but bringing them into convergence, where they all overlap, creates a space of harmony, hygiene, and high performance. We work hard. We know working hard. And what most people don't know is that the people who are making the most money are playing hard, and it's just not seen.
Okay.
So I am a proponent of revolution, of the Renaissance, that like I want people to come back to playing hard. I want people to find deep pleasure so that they can go into the world and work hard and feel like they're getting what they need out of it. So that hygiene portion includes mental hygiene, includes spiritual hygiene, and includes physical hygiene. Part of seducing life is seducing the people in life. You want to smell good. That is seductive. You want to taste good when somebody actually gets to interact with your physical. You want to feel good to people. You want cleanliness in your aura. As far as my tools are concerned, I got a spray bottle. I got a nice misting bottle of Florida water that I will spray my rope down with. My implements, my tools. I sage and click and clear my ropes and my impact tools and all. I sage my own damn phallus. I will clean my own.
Florida water is really good down there too. Just
Spiritual hygiene is spiritual hygiene.
yes,
Do
yes.
you like they be like, do you even lift? Do you even smudge? Do you
Mm,
even clear? Do you even give yourself spiritual hygiene after you're using the things, the parts of your body?
I have a
So
friend.
those things aren't considered, right? In a lot of
Friend.
spaces, and they can be. So I bring that to the forefront. I bring that into the habit logic and the spiritual hygiene conversation under sacred pace. Realistically, I'm talking very practically. In that space, I'm talking very practically about spiritual hygiene and why certain things just make sense. It's like literally when you're talking about spirituality and you're talking about, let's say, voodoo or any of these things where we are accessing magic, there's a logic, a practical logic behind utilizing the thing. If you want money, it makes sense to use a green candle. It
Mhm.
makes sense to utilize dirt that comes from a bank. It makes sense to sweeten it with honey so that it can be attractive. It makes sense to put coffee in it so that it can come quickly. It makes full logic to the spiritual hygiene. And you can apply that even to your physical man. Maybe you're not just saging yourself, maybe you're saging yourself and you're bathing yourself in champagne and honey. And what happens when somebody licks you after you've bathed in champagne and honey?
Well, it's all about
Do you
like
see what I'm like? Last call,
I've actually made my own sugar scrubs, and I had a friend who borrowed them or who actually bought some from me, you know, took one of all of the line, and there was one, a chai, that she called me up and she's like, my husband says he likes the taste of the chai. And I was like, atta girl. Then my work here is done. And it is that because, whenever, and it's a selling point because it's sugar. So you will be sweet. I have a friend who makes soap and she actually made Florida water soap. And it's like, it is some of the best cleansing stuff. Like, and it's one of those where it's like, I will save like the
a
little.
spiritual bath in a bar.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would save little slivers of it. It's like, okay, I've gotten down to this part of the bar. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna cram it all together for another one to make a whole nother bar because it is that good. Because a lot of times with a bar soap, you get down to the very little bit and you're like, oh, toss that out. But this one, it's like, no, no, no. I'm savoring every last bit of this. And I think it's important to be doing that cleansing all the way around. And it starts with the body. It even starts with the environment that you're creating for the play session.
All of it. I see your brain over there
Oh no,
churning.
I was just thinking about the champagne and honey. Like, need to get some.
Mm.
Because
I
that
love,
it's also
That's what was going through my mind a little bit ago.
yeah,
I love
You
my
said that.
champagne total Saint Germain.
it's a way of attracting abundance.
Hmm.
You're sweetening yourself. You're sweetening yourself with the honey. The champagne is abundance.
Just doing a honey bath. I mean, it's great. Honey in a bath, or even covering yourself in honey foreplay, and then, moving to the shower. I mean, it's,
Listen, I'm
yeah.
learning some things in tantra. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally learning some things. Like
You can put honey on anything and lick it off. That's all I'm gonna
you
say.
can put honey in all kinds of cracks and crevices.
Yes.
So, how do you bring in somatics and hypnosis into your work,
Hmm,
into kink?
that's a great question. For those who may not be aware of somatics, somatics just simply means body-based work, right? So, like a body-based work. Some people attach it to where is trauma stored in the body, and awareness of or an ability to interact with where trauma is stored in the body. But it's body-based work. For me, my somatic specialty is in kink. I consider myself training the nervous system. I'm training the nervous system to be able to enjoy taking more calculated high risks, right? Like if one is to approach me wanting to have a rope session, especially if it's their first time, my goal is to make it in and out of the experience with the person's feeling safe, right? And even in that, if they said yes to themselves, they booked a rope session with me. I got in the scene, I got out the scene, we landed, they got aftercare, they went home, I checked on them 2 days later, so on and so forth. The risk was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I got what I needed out of taking the risk. And so if Black folk took more risks, i.e., we did more stock market, maybe if we didn't second guess and we weren't such late adopters in certain things, right? I feel like part of my work with myself, which is why I cultivate this academy the way I do, is recognizing where my own limiting beliefs and constructs come online that keep me in a space of scarcity and therefore keep me from winning, right? Why didn't I hop on Bitcoin when it first came out? And am I mad about it now? Why didn't I hop on GameStop when the stock started moving? I'm sick and tired of being a late adopter because of fear frequency and scarcity mindset. And so, if the work is for me to train my nervous system to be able to take those calculated high risk more regularly and quicker so that
Yeah.
I have an advantage, that's what I'm here for. And that's what I'm here to do with anybody who's willing to do it with me.
Excellent. So what do you have coming up? Where can we find you?
Oh, you will be able to find me in Mexico. I'm going to be in Mexico from mid-September through February, and I will be opening my doors for 3-day immersions with me. Three day or more, depending on what we negotiate. But the minimum I think is 3 days.
Okay.
And in those immersions, you will get access to whatever of my skill sets you
So how
desire.
does somebody sign up for that? How
And
do
if you wanted to sign up for that, you would go to reimagineyourlegend.com, spelled out phonetically, reimagineyourlegend.com. And there is a space for booking an exploratory call, a free exploratory call. So if you just click that button, get yourself a time on my calendar for us to talk about where you're trying to go and why you chose me to take you there. That is how that begins. And I'm really, really looking forward to being able to bring people to Mexico. I have a new skill set also. I don't just do high dose psilocybin anymore. I'm also a 5-MeO DMT specialist. So you can access that from me directly. It's Mxter
in
Takes
here in Mexico?
Mexico.
Yeah.
Choose your path, plant or animal. and all of my other modalities and specialties come
Nice.
along with it.
Excellent. So, what is something that you would give our audience permission to do?
Oh, I think I would say I would love for people to take more audacities. I would love for people to take more audacities and give themselves permission to dare and to dream. Whether that's deeper pleasure, whether that's deeper abundance, deeper peace, whatever it takes to get to those deeper versions of yourself.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for joining us here in the portal. It's always a pleasure to share time and space with you.
The pleasure has been mine. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. And I want to give you permission to get a little kinky. Like us, follow us, tell your friends about us. We look forward to seeing you soon. You can join us in our Facebook page, as well as our Instagram or YouTube. And if you have questions or want to suggest topics for us, send them to thepermissionportal@gmail.com. And remember,
The portal is always open.